Good morning. It's Wednesday here in Massachusetts, 9 a.m. Wednesday, April 1st. Happy Fool's Day. Happy Fool's Day. I've already had a sort of crazy, stressful morning. I went to the grocery store hoping there'd be more sanitizing hand wipes. No luck. And ran into many other stressful out there. And combined with a few other life events that happened in the last 24 hours, I was feeling pretty challenged and sad and mad. I affectionately call that state SMAD. I was SMAD. And I recalled a teaching from I mentioned that 2 nights ago I was able to connect with one of my teachers in a group format, virtual Sangha conference call on Zoom, Joseph Goldstein, and he offered 2 really helpful things that I've known but forget about. And the first thing is, whenever we're like disliking something and we're getting that energy of dislike, of discomfort, that the actual choice to engage in disliking feeds the pain. So, noticing self-inflicted pain, and then being able to fold that into the practice of when caught in discomfort, especially around like a global or a local time of difficulty, like our current time, and to get bogged down by the pain of that, the fear of that, the stress of that, to take, if we can, just like a step aside and say, how can I be of help? And the moment we ask that question, the moment we shift the mind to one of being intended to be helpful, that the mind cannot be in that moment when questioning how can I be helpful, the mind cannot be still in that state of fear, not still in that state of stress. So just dropping in that question helps us to relieve ourselves of the burden and shift the mind states to something more generative and less deflective. So, doing those practices this morning. And so let's get started. I want to start with a little pranayama. So I recommend for today's practice, we will use a belt for sure, a blanket for sure, and probably a couple of blocks. And I might do shoulder stand. So if you've got extra blankets or a bolster or both, and probably supported back bend. So go ahead now and gather whatever gear you need, bolster or extra blankets, and maybe a wall. I'm not going to do as long of a practice this morning because for a few reasons. So we'll see if we get to everything, but take your time to get what you need now. And so I'm going to start with a little easy folded blanket. I've got my blanket folded in fourths on my mat, the way that I often start. It's ready to go. So if you want to lay a simple folded, not too thin, not too bulky blanket on your mat, half of your mat so your feet can still stick, head towards the fringe, the fringe towards the top of your mat. We're not going to lay down yet. And I'm placing my bolster. You could use a block or another folded blanket or a bolster. So I can be in Virasana, simply to start. And I want to do a little manual manipulation of the nostrils for our pranayama. And I've mentioned a couple of times in previous classes that I've been working with small breath, no breath, breathlessness, simply in the interest of leaning into a possible reality. If I end up getting sick, if I get COVID-19, because that's the deal, you can't get your breath. And I know a few people who've had it already, and they talk about that being the scariest thing. And these are people for whom it's not so bad that they go to the hospital. And these are all New Yorker friends of mine. So simply landing where you are. Simplest thing in the world. Sometimes it's hard as hell. So taking a moment to drop everything. So I'm trying to drop tension. I'm trying to drop the upheaval, the emotional upheaval of my morning and my yesterday. Trying to drop my jaw, tongue. And feel into the quality of how your sit bones meet your cushion. Is there a capacity to release and let go, or is there still some updraft of angst, anxiety, emotion? If you have an opposite experience now where you're low and listless, then pick up the breath, pick up the inhale, pick up the pace of how you move the prana. But ultimately, feel the quality of your presence and how can you be of help to yourself, right? So this is where we're going. What's the most helpful thing here now? So I want to do, I think it's called pratiloma. I could be wrong. I didn't look it up. When we touch our nose, I'm going to get closer. When we touch our nose for digital pranayama, you know, classically it's like the ring finger and thumb. Sometimes pinky and ring finger together. You could simply use your index finger. Like, it doesn't really matter what fingers. What matters is, in my opinion, the quality of the touch. So usually the fingertip, not the print or the pad, just the slightest little touch at the tip of the finger. And then the connecting point on your face is way up past the cartilage, but right up near the bone, where the passageway is a little narrower. And you don't want to move your nose around, like you don't want to push your nose around. You just want to be able to connect gently with the flesh and create some pressure. So for our practice this morning, we're going to be partially closing the nostrils. So just try like a trial run here. If you bring whatever fingers you're using to the side of the nose, above the nostril, and little tug down of the flesh to narrow the passageways and slowly sip the breath in that way. And if already that siphoning of breath like stresses you out and feels weird, make the aperture bigger. You could tug the flesh up the nose. So what I'd like to do is a slow inhale with the digital manipulation and a relaxed, open exhale. So please keep going, and I'm going to add a couple other pointers. Can you try to breathe or bring the breath in way up there at that upper part of the nose, where the actual opening into your skull is, rather than through the nostrils? So partially closed nostrils on the inhale, unobstructed exhale. Let the breath just slide right out. Keep going. Relax the tongue and jaw so the throat can be more open. And try to lift the upper palate. It might just happen. The upper palate lifts and widens if you can stay relaxed. So partially closed inhales, complete unobstructed exhales. Couple more rounds just like that. Last round. And when you complete this round and find the bottom of your exhale, if you can, touch that empty breath, that no inhaling, that pause at the bottom when you're empty. Just pause there for a second and then breathe in normally when you need to. All the way to the top, and then again, full exhalation and touching the bottom of the exhale and pausing there. Sustain the out breath as long as you almost comfortably can, maybe a little discomfort, nothing too sparky or stressful. And one more time, exhale, retention. And in this third exhale, retention, maybe hold it out for slightly less time, and then tiny little baby in and out, tiny little small in and out breath. Small as you can make it at first. Slowly grow it bigger, like nanosecond by nanosecond, until the breath returns to sort of a natural, slow, easy, soft pace. And when the breath returns to a natural, slow, easy, soft pace, then I want to do 3 rounds only of full, unobstructed, deep inhalation, and then partially close nostrils to exhale. So 3 rounds there. Last round. When you're ready, please come to lay on your back with your blanket under your hips, spine, and head. Feet on floor. Actually straighten your legs. Take a full body stretch here. Reach arms overhead. Reach legs long. From end to end, find more length through the midline. So it's not a back bend. It's easy to pop the ribs up for some. So with your exhales, can you touch empty and maybe take a pause and empty and deepen the front line of the body. So soften the front ribs back, broaden the back ribs, broaden the kidneys. With the inhale, try to grow long right through the midline without the front of you getting longer than the back of you. And long exhale to deepen the front again. And then swing arms out to the side. Bend your knees, feet on floor. And let's have the legs right together. Legs, feet, inner thighs right together. And simply drop the right knee to the right. Let it go all the way towards the floor and then swing it back up. Do the same thing with the left knee. So a really simple one knee at a time, dropping right and left. But can you explore and sense a little bit of a continuation of last Friday, not quite as slow and deep, but can you parse out at what point the leg stops moving in the hip socket and then the pelvic half goes with the leg of the moving leg, and then the SI joint of the other leg when that lifts up off the floor, and then reversing as the knee comes up. So as I drop my right knee, feeling thigh bone and hip socket, what that movement is, then feeling the right pelvic half at the right SI joint, what that movement is, and then the left SI joint has to move for my right leg to go all the way to the floor. And then I bring it back in reverse order. Left SI joint gathers, then right SI joint gathers, then right pelvic half hugs in, and then the hip socket completes the movement. Left and right. And if that's just too much detail, feel free to simply drop the legs and bring them back up. And then next time left leg comes up, pause and take both knees out to the side. Soles of feet right together. Press right heel into left heel. And then relaxing that, press left heel into right heel. So alternating one heel at a time, pushing into the other heel. And what this does, in theory, it's turning on the hamstrings of the pushing heel side. So it's swinging the tail and the sit bone over to the pushing heel side. So it's getting a little pelvic movement here. Maybe a few more repetitions. Keep following the exhales out all the way to the bottom. And then let this movement pause in the middle, pause in the middle, pause in the middle. We're going to take like 2 minutes, and I'm just going to guess the timing to slowly bring the knees back together. So it's like an inch every 5 seconds or so. So can you move at 5 seconds per inch? Slowly magnetizing the knees. So there's a little bit of a pressure between my 2 feet. And I'm going to stay on the outer feet until the knees are almost to the ceiling. If you get any shaking or bouncing, it's totally normal. And the inner thigh muscle runs, there's several of them. They run all the way like down to the knee, past the knee. Some stop mid-thigh, some are just right up in the groin. So can you choose from where you recruit this movement? And ideally it's the deeper, smaller muscles. So imagine that the weight of the inner thighs, or there maybe is some sort of cascading of water or a flow from the inner knees to the inner thighs. So maybe you're about halfway here, halfway up of bringing the knees together. There's this weight dropping deep into the inner groin and like a big bowling ball plunging down into your soft low belly, bringing the outer legs up. And there will come a point at which it feels obvious to like put the feet flat to the floor. I've got about 10 more inches between my knees and I'm bringing my feet flat to the floor. Another 4 inches. And then when the legs come right together, squeeze them together, press them together, merge them together. I'm going to bring my feet a little closer to my bum. And then keep the legs and feet together. Tip the legs in one piece over to the right. So that left leg has to travel really far, actually. The whole pelvis rolls and reach that outer left leg further. The knees stay pinned right together. No sliding of the legs. And then that same bowling ball in your low belly. Drop the sacrum back behind you. Tipping to the outer left foot. My feet are like they're standing. They're really active as I roll to the outer left pelvis and I wrap, reach more outer right thigh. So if this hurts anything, please don't do it. Please don't do anything that hurts. Keep going right and left to your degree of mobility. And I'll say it again, I've said it every class. When you encounter a movement that does not feel good, hurts, pinches, pokes, burns, sears, pops, anything remotely close to that, you could completely avoid the movement, of course, which is not my first choice unless there's a real health issue. My first choice is to ask the question, what would it be like if I could do the movement without pain? So you make it like a puzzle. So you might have to get real small. You're probably going to have to do something different, which is one of the hardest things to do in the world. And that's where yoga therapy comes in. Last time to the left. And then both feet on the floor. Exhale, fold the legs into the chest. Go ahead and give a wrap, give a squeeze, give a hug. Offer some self-love. Can you keep your knees there? Curl the toes towards your heels, but stay flexed in the ankles. So toe knuckles are towards you, and the toe tips are away from you. So it's toe and foot flexion, plantar flexion, toe and foot flexion, but then dorsiflexion of the ankles. And then notice if that helps you hug in more. If it does, keep it and reach the arms past your feet. For a few more moments, shorten as much into yourself as you can. And then from here, please take the knees apart. Can you grab your outer feet and interlace your hands on your outer feet? And if the answer is no, now's a good time to grab your belt. Grab your belt and sling it around the outer feet and simply hold the belt. Otherwise, if you can interlace your hands, like my arms are pulled straight. I'm not trying to really bring my feet much closer. Just hold them in place. So it's like a supine Baddha Konasana. Supine bound angle. Really casual. I'd like to turn this into, or morph this into the supine Tarasana, or like in yin yoga, they call it butterfly. So there's going to be a gradual attempt to straighten the legs and still hold on to the feet. So using my hands to help pull the feet more over my forehead, using my legs to unbend the knees some. This might be where you need a belt. And then I'm trying, press the knees wide towards ceiling. Push the feet up into your hands or your belt a little bit. And then pull with the hands a little bit. So find some communication between feet pushing up, hands pulling down, knees widening. My tail starting to curl a little to ceiling. A little bit of rounding in the spine, not a lot. Let's try to contain it mostly to the hips here. And you find your edge and pause and breathe there for another, let's say, I don't know. You decide how long you want to stay. That's always the case. And the more I bring my toes towards the top of my head, the more feedback I get in my outer hips, which I am appreciating. Yeah. And then I'm going to take this right to straight legs. So if you have your belt, you might extend the sides of the belt to hold on. Or some of you need to grab your belt now. So straight legs, straight arms, spine pretty well flat on the floor. And we're going to take this into a straddle. So for those of you who have a short-ish belt, or just like if you have, I hope you have a belt, you're going to strap the belt across both your feet and just hold on to the edges of the belt. If there's any extra room in the belt, I recommend making a little loop for each foot. So hold on to the tails of the belt and then grab the inside of the belt. So each foot can be held in a belt loop independently. I don't need the belt. I'm not going to use the belt. I'm losing the belt. So beltless people hold on to the outer feet. So now we're in supine Upavishta Konasana. And start to rock a little bit right to left. And if you're relaxed in the spine, the head will sort of swivel a beat or two behind the legs. So I rock the legs left and the head follows, but the feet have already moved on to the right. So the head's just sort of following the ripple right and left. And then let the rock tip you all the way to the right and fold in your straight left leg on top of your straight right leg. Head drapes over the right arm, but now can you look towards the space where your head was pointing? So as if you were looking up, but not straight up to the ceiling, looking to where your head was orienting just a moment ago. So a little spinal extension. And then let the head softly land, swing left leg up, far enough up and out that it tips you slowly all the way over to your left side. Pick the head up just enough to reach your face away from your body. Neck extension, little spinal extension. Squeeze your legs real straight. And then right leg as you land the head. Oh, wait, that was too fast. Let's spin another breath on the left side. And then right leg. We're going to go right and left several times here. This time, coming to lay on your right side, let go of your left leg, and can you stretch it down towards the foot of your mat where it was when we started? It might hover in the air. In fact, I recommend starting with a hover. Punch through that heel and take your time to point those left toes and then dorsiflex, so punch through the heel and then point through the toes. Keep turning left hip towards the space in front of you, left hip towards the right leg. Now adding spinal extension, reach your face towards the direction your head was pointing. Big breath in. it is, or relax it down and adduct left leg towards floor. It doesn't have to press into the floor, but perhaps it could. One more moment. And then with an exhale, bring the left leg back up to the right leg. Catch it with your left hand. Swing left leg towards sky. Let it tip you onto your back all the way over. Some of you I know have to negotiate the belt. So here we are on the left side. Free the right foot and sweep that straight right leg down towards the foot of your mat. Punch through the heel first. Hover the leg. Point the toes. You cannot see my foot. And then dorsiflex. Punch through the heel. Same thing. Plantar flex or pointed toes. You decide which one you want to land in. I'm going to go for the pointed toes to extend the spine. Face reaching towards where top of head was. Legs are strong. Legs are strong. You can keep your head face reaching, spinal neck extension if you want, or relax it down and go for the heel punch on the right leg, the free leg, dorsiflex, and then squeeze, adduct that leg down towards the floor. It doesn't have to get there. In fact, it won't for everyone. Don't force it. And then when you're ready, swing the right leg back up to the left. Swing it up to the ceiling. And over to the right. Now before you land left leg on right leg, bend that left knee and hike that left knee way back behind you. Maybe, just maybe, could you step? I'm going to flip around so you can see. So here you all are. Could you step your left foot on the floor inside the leg and the arm? So it's like a figure four left leg. It's a figure four left leg. And if you need to give yourself more belt, give yourself more belt. First, extend the spine. Reach your face towards the direction your head was pointing. And then if you wish, any amount you want to sort of bring your head, your face, your chest down into that right leg. You could simply roll into figure four on your back if this is just too complicated and you want the outer hip love. I'm going to catch my left foot again. Shoot it straight up in the air. Rock over to the left side. And before the right leg lands, bend the knee. Cock that knee way back. And then see if you can step that right foot. I'm going to flip around again. You don't have to break dance like this. You step that right foot on the floor. You might need to give the left foot more belt. Both hands catch the belt of the left foot or just the left foot. And then spinal extension, reach your face away from your legs. You might stay here all the while trying to press the right knee away from you. Don't let it just sort of crowd you here. Any outer hip gluteal action you can turn on to press the knee away. Face reaching, and then I'm going to fold in more of my torso closer to the leg tangle here. Catching right foot, spring it loose slowly without drama, leg up. Over to the right side again. Once again, free the left leg, send it long towards the foot side of your mat. This time, when you reach your face away, can you let go of your right foot and get your elbows under you? So like Sphinx pose with right leg folded under you and out to the left, and your left leg long behind you. So it's like a tipped over or revolved triangle maybe. Explore the possibility to internally rotate your left leg. That's your back leg, your down leg. So try to tuck those toes under any amount. Having malleable, happy, flexy toes is a helpful boon here. Left knee can be soft or punch it straight. Elbows dive down and draw the midline of your belly, your heart, your throat gently forward. And I like to do a little left heel punch and rock here. The legs are really strong. Keep reaching through the legs. Super strong thigh muscles. Try to reach the knees straight. And then to come out, left hand can go flat to the floor and thread the right arm under it. Catch the right foot. Bring left leg up to meet right leg. And then swing left leg open, tipping all the way over to the left. And then once again, right leg is free to sweep towards the toe side of your mat. I'm going to squeeze mine to the floor. If yours has to hover, hover it or insert a block under it. Sorry, I didn't mention that till side 2. And then let go of left foot. Hopefully it can stay there. If it slides some, that's fine. Elbows down. So twisting now like revolved triangle. Tipped over, sorta. Right toes tuck under. Oh. Yes, if you can, right? If it does weird things to your knee or your hip socket, either don't do it or start your puzzle inquiry like, could I? What would it be like if I could? All that banging around was just my dog rearranging his position on his bed. Navel in and up, heart up and up, bridge of nose up, soft jaw, soft tongue, maybe the right heel rock. Right hand palm down when you're ready to thread your left arm through. Grab your left foot, lower your head down. Swing the right leg up, loop the belt or catch the foot, and then up. And this time we're pausing in the middle. Pausing in the middle. Last time here with a simple straddle. And then what I invite you to do is bring the backs of your hands to the insides of your legs. If you don't need a belt, if you need the belt, then can you hold the insides of your legs anywhere you got? And simply applying a little bit of pressure wide with the hands, only enough that the legs have to work to come together. So I'm simply resisting the squeezing of my legs together. And we're going to take about a minute to come all the way to legs together. And I've got some quivering, some shaking. I'm just abiding with that. Now legs are together. Keep them there, keep them up, keep them straight if you can. Curl in, reach your hands past your legs towards the former toe side of your mat. And try to reach your toes past your face towards the head side of the mat. One more moment here, trying to fold in half without any real help from your hands. And then left leg starts to retrace the journey back to the floor. Keep your head curled up if you can. And before your left leg lands, point those toes. Catch the back of your right leg anywhere. You could grab your belt if you want. And then continuing to keep head and right leg up, you can use your hands to gently come in a little more. Watch yourself press the back of your leg to the floor. Now I'm flexing at the heel, dorsiflexion to land the leg. Lower head and shoulders down. Ideally, right leg stays where it was. From here, loop the belt around the foot or hold the foot. Soup to P2. Left arm out to the left. And if you take the right leg to the right real slow, feel again the leg move in the hip socket. And then pelvic half moves, right pelvic half. But don't take the leg so far that the left SI joint has to move. Keep your left bum on the ground. Really stretch the two legs in their trajectory, like vectors of physics. Just a line with an arrow, forever. Reaching. One breath more. So strong in the legs. They're really the most dynamic part of this whole thing. You have to really establish the earth when there's no earth to stand on. Find your own ground. Bring right leg up. Exhale, everything folds in. Baby ball on your back. Get that thing with the feet where it's dorsiflexion of the ankles, but the toes and feet are flexed. Keep arms reaching towards toe side of the mat. Straighten the legs towards head side of the mat. Can you touch your forehead and your shins together? The answer may be no, but you try as you might. And then right leg starts to retrace its journey towards the foot side of the mat. Just before it lands, if you haven't already, point those toes. Hands gently cradle left leg and gently invite forehead and leg closer. Just before right leg lands, punch through the heel and then try to flatten the whole leg to the floor. And then lovingly invite left leg to come a little bit with you as you lower head and shoulders down. Catch your belt if you need it. Left foot holds left hand, right arm out to the right. So we've got that seed planted of how much the left leg moves, how much the pelvic half moves, and not invading movement, not invading into the right side with movement here in the soup to P2. Keep that, and then can you add some awareness of your left sit bone? And as your left leg goes out and to the left, can you feel, invite, encourage left sit bone to sort of swing up towards your face and then out to the left? Like it follows. This is a little bit of yesterday's class. So there really shouldn't be too much, if any, shortening of the lumbar. In fact, maybe some extra length in the lumbar. Most of your butt cheek flesh is towards your right hip. Most of your left booty flesh is towards your right foot, rather, not hip. And then when you're ready, and I think I want a couple more breaths here. Press the right thigh bone into the floor as you swing the left leg up. Exhale, baby ball on your back. Can you keep curling the torso up as you reach the legs away and morph into a half boat? You might have to cheat and use your hands like I just did behind your legs to come up. And then from here, stay balancing on your mostly back of sit bones as you bring your knees into your outer shoulders and reach your hands through. So it's like crow pose, falling back on your bum. And then undo, cross your ankles, flip around, lose the blanket, down dog. If you need some cat-cows on the way, go there. I'm just going to check our timing. From your normal garden variety dog, can you turn your toes out a little bit and kick the heels in a little bit? So it's like Charlie Chaplin dog or duckfoot dog. And then squeeze the inseam of the back legs. So posterior medial, the back inner. Squeeze that together. And a little bit squeeze your butt. Squeeze your butt. I almost never say that, but do it here. And then swing the hips a little right and left. So you get a nice boon for the ankle. Dorsiflexion of the ankle by way of weight shift, not by way of muscle. So I get a whole different biofeedback going on in the back of the leg. If you push more with the lengthening side hand, so when hips are right, push more left hand, I feel that travel up into the back ribs. And then normal dog, neutral dog, normalize your feet. And then take your time to walk your feet slowly, slowly, slowly to your hands. And you know where your hands are, so you don't have to look towards them unless you want to. Unless you want to. And then once your feet get to your hands, if pausing in your forward bend feels welcome, please sustain that. And look around the area, grab a block. Where are my blocks? They're far away. And then putting the block, I'm going to face you, putting the block between your two knees, inner knee nubs, flat side, soften your knees and come rolling on up. So take a moment to sense for yourself and maybe look at the block. If the block is already sort of on a diagonal, then straighten it out. So you want it to, and this is that picky, really precise, highly detailed business. And if you fall in love with the details, you'll never be lost, in my opinion. Very much the same point on the inner knee of each leg and not letting it fishtail. So controlling this subtle inner-outer leg rotation by neutralizing, symmetricalizing the block. Little squeeze and a lot of lift. Take your two arms up. And as we slowly go into Utkatasana, just a baby bend in the knees, present the block forward as you take the outer heels back and down. And my block's leaning a little left, so that means I need to get more into my left leg. Like that's clear to me and it's not a surprise. Just now getting to the base of my chair pose. Even though I've stopped lowering my hips, still reaching the block forward and getting into the outer heels, back outer heels. And then as you slowly stand, super slow, draw the block backwards. Draw the block backwards, and then try to spin the inner shins forward. Block backwards, inner shins forward. Don't squeeze your ass, but you might feel really deep gluteal engagement. And again, I'm going to put hands behind head, squeeze shoulder blades down and in, slowly, slowly. So I'm taking like 10 seconds. So you're all the way down the Utkatasana. Outer heels heavy and back. Block forward. Tail forward, sit bones forward. No fishtailing. And then slowly, slowly. And it's like pressing the block backwards as you try to spin your inner shin flesh forward. Hands on hips, squeeze elbows back, push the block forward like you're pushing it into a wall that won't move. Outer heels heavy and back, No fishtailing the block. This might reveal, I hope it does for you, that you need to work one leg more or differently than normal. Slowly slide the block backwards as you spin the inner calf flesh forward. And if you're curious about that, private message me. I'll explain it. Arms straight, palms spread. Push the wall behind you backwards, so shoulder extension. One more, 10-second lower. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, tail forward, sit bones forward, block forward, heels back, arms back, and then up. 10, 9, squeeze the block back, draw it back. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, put the block down in front of you, take your feet wide apart. Adjust your pants. And then come on down. First bend the knees. Use the block if you need it. And then hands under shoulders. Both knees are bent. And then can you really feel outer heels in the floor? So there's a lot of lift in my inner legs. Some drawing of the sit bones towards each other. And then one leg at a time, push it straight. But straightening it by way of wrapping outer foot, outer leg more into the floor and lifting inner foot, inner leg. And then let that foot with that inner leg lift pull you through center. Bending that knee again, so both knees are bent. And then by way of stretching, reaching, pressing outer left foot. Lift the inner left leg, and let the gathering lifting of the inner left leg be the thing that pulls you back to center. And as if there was a giant like physio ball or exercise ball going right to left here, under you, get a lot of updraft at the navel. Get a lot of updraft in front of your ovaries. Even the guys out there, maybe it's vas deferens, the loop up inside the low pelvis. One more time each side. So the short story is you're not just shifting the weight of the hips back and forth. You're pushing and pulling the hips by way of the legs. Now, next time you're over to the left, we did this move yesterday, but we were standing. Spin the right toes to point to the sky, and then flatten that foot onto the floor. Walk your hands over to the right, right hand on right ankle, left hand on hip, and then left knee still bent. Pull your bum under you, lean your upper body back, stomp on that left heel, and slowly push the left leg straight. Right hand's like feeding, shoving, encouraging right foot into the floor, and the rebound effect of that across the chest. Just casually reach left arm to sky like it's inevitable. Like the whole thing is an invitation for the left arm to go yes. Or maybe. Or I don't know. And then from here, left hand down, step right foot back. Your change directions on your mat. If you want both your dogs, take them. I'm just going to drop knees and cat-cow a little. You could go to child's pose, or you could just sit on your heels. Slow-mo, feet walk to the top of the mat. Make it especially hip swooshy and knee bendy and ankle massagey. Soften both knees, drop your tail like an anchor. Come rolling on up. head arrives last. Then a big step out into the left. 10 toes straight ahead, hands on hips, bend your knees, spill forward. And from soft knees, left leg pushes you to the right, left leg straightens. Stay over to the right, turn the left leg, externally rotating it, so toes and knees point up, and then grab the floor with that left foot. Keep your right knee bent, walk your hands to the left. Left hand on ankle, right hand on hip, turn open, and then hips towards the space in front of you, really stomping on that right heel. Upper body, torso leaning back, so in theory your torso is sideways above your left leg, and then a slow straightening of the right leg, same deal. Outer leg getting longer, inner leg getting lifted. Left hand is helping with the rooting effort, feeding the left leg into the floor, and the rebound is this opening, reaching, like right arm like an antenna, whoop, going up, looking for the best signal. When you're ready, bring it on down. Step it back in both dogs if you want them, cats or cows, or simply kneeling. From the dog, downward facing dog, keep the right leg down where it is and point your left leg sort of straight back so you can still see it. It's more or less horizontal. And keep a lot of lift in the low belly. And if you can point your left toes, could your left toe tip further draw the leg up? So taking the leg up by the inner leg. Lift the right heel. Take left leg higher. Bend right knee, split the groins. Left leg higher. Now bend your left knee. And keep an eye on your right knee. Don't let it veer left. Don't let it fishtail. As you open the left pelvic half, you're touching all the joints in the pelvis now. And your right sit bone, swinging to the left. Nope, that's incorrect. Your right sit bone is opening to the right with your right foot. Straighten the right leg, and can you lower the heel and keep the right knee shining straight towards your right hand. Straighten left leg. From the depth of the low belly, ovaries, vas deferens, turn the left hip down towards the right leg. And as you bring the left leg down, plank pose, hold your plank or flow or drop your knees or whatever you want. So all of that is to say, the shape we're going into, meeting in dog, do all this business with your right leg, but don't let your left leg change or veer or fishtail. So slowing it down, right leg on the horizon, see your big toe, reach it away from you. Feel the inseam of the right leg spin up. Slowly from the inseam, take the leg up. So high, till you're like you run out of room. Lift the left heel, right leg can go higher. Bend left knee, my right leg can go a little higher yet. And then really bend the right knee and stabilize that whole left side as you orbit the pelvis around your left leg. So left sit bone is scooping forward towards the way the navel's pointing and down towards your left heel. Straighten your left leg and lower it. Bring the left sit bone with you. And then straighten that right leg. Your left knee is like shining straight to your left hand.
And then from deep in the low belly, deep in front of the sacrum, reorganize the pelvis. So you're back on the midline, abducted. And then as you bring the leg down, plank. And through whatever you want for symmetry. Let's meet belly down. Belly down. In a little Sphinx pose. Casual Sphinx pose. And squiggle to the edge of your mat to the right. Squiggle to the right. So the right leg can be free. If you have a slidey surface, perfect. If you have carpet, you might still slide. But if you have like a bare leg on hardwood floor, you might put a blanket under that knee. So bring the knee out to the side, sort of like a warrior two. And I'm going to stay in Sphinx as I organize this, but you could certainly bring your torso down. Might make it easier to do, not easier to see. Any effort to straighten the right leg, please do so with a little supination in the foot. So wrapping the outer foot more to the floor. And I'm attempting to straighten the leg, and I can only get so far on my own. Then I actually have to walk the foot out to the side. And so leg strength got us there. We used a little bit of walk in the foot. You could put the forehead down or stay in your Sphinx, whatever works. So it's like a face plant, Supta P2, or face plant, Utthita Hasta Padangustasana 2. Tuck left toes under. Make the hip point on your left side heavy and try to make the left thigh light. Now that I sort of have myself organized here, I'm going to put my head on my left hand and I'm going to catch my right foot. Some of you might be able to loop a belt around your right foot and bring it up. Tail straight down, like tail is aiming for your left leg. And then one final organizational cue, the booty flesh of the right hip, side waist flesh. Let that also wrap or reach towards your left foot. So you might have to gather your belly. And then this last move is not for everyone. Could you bend the left knee and try to touch your own butt with your left heel, or touch the back of your head with your left toes? And if you fold the knee up so much with your hamstring strength, you might get a cramp. Not bad news at all, while uncomfortable. Can you make the hip heavier and the thigh lighter? Hip heavier, thigh lighter. Okay, unbend the left leg if you bent it. Head up enough to stretch the left arm overhead. Come to lay on your left side. So you just drag that right leg back. Right hand, stack the two legs. Right hand can come on the floor in front of you. And float the two legs together up off the floor just a little bit. So you're like side-lying fish. It's not a fish pose or anything, but like, I don't know, this feels fishy to me. And then split the two legs. Right leg, top leg goes back. Left leg, bottom leg goes forward, like a side-lying split leap. And then maybe right arm can go overhead. And it's like, woohoo, like Hanuman. I think maybe in the spirit in which it was intended. Not, I gotta get splits pose. Right hip wraps towards inner left thigh. And then see what you can do to all at once slowly Squeeze the two legs right together again. Spill onto your belly and swan dive the arms back. So landing in a logos pose. And we're sort of halfway on our mats. Elbows under, toes under, elbow plank. Both hands down, real plank. Step left leg to the left, step left hand to the left, right hand and then right leg. Do that again. Side step your plank. So you're going to the left, lower down, halfway on, halfway off. And I'm gonna flip around so you can see better. I'm gonna just do the same deal on the other side. I'm gonna start in Sphinx. Bend left knee to the left. Pausing here for a moment. Because of gravity, because the shape of our bodies, being here, actually I feel more weight forward rolling down towards the floor in my leg. Feel the booty flesh, the outer hip flesh, the thigh, it's all sort of rolling down and forward. And we really want the opposite. So you have to cultivate that as you work towards a straightening leg. So maybe you straighten it just out to the side, and if you can get that supinating action, see how it rolls the outer leg back behind you. And try to get my leg a little bit closer, higher, by walking the foot up. It's also like a floppy fish. And then you decide if you want to stay on elbows or come on down. Catching left foot if you can, with the belt or with your hand. And then the muscle strength to keep wrapping the sit bone, left leg sit bone, down and under, outer leg back and away. And either pause here or tuck left toes under. Try to get pubic bone heavy. Outer right hip heavy. Right thigh light. Bending if you choose. Again, not for everyone. Bending right knee a lot. And if you point the toes first and shorten the sole of the foot, and then feel like you're shortening the calf, and then pull that shortening into the hamstring, sliding the muscle short from the toes to the sit bone. Keep squeezing, sliding them shorter and shorter, and the right knee might float, the right thigh might float, the outer hip might get heavier, like the heavy end of a teeter-totter. And then as you unfurl, like from the sit bone, slide the hamstring long into the back of the knee, then slide the calf muscle long, and then dorsiflex. Slide the foot muscles long. Starting to undo. Torso comes up. Right arm, or just enough to unfurl your right arm overhead. Left hand can support you. Sliding, floating left leg back onto the right leg. Both legs together and squeeze them a little off the floor. And then the top leg goes back. Top leg, left leg swings back. Right leg swings forward. So just a counter pose in a way. Or just another pose. Just. Left arm goes overhead. Both legs long, and muscularly, with your belly, with your inner thigh, with your left leg, wrap outer left hip forward so you're not turning back or turning open. And then one fell swoop, like a diving bird, like a sparrow, to swing your legs back, open your arms and spill onto your belly. From here, right into plank, hands down, toes tucked. And then walk yourself sideways onto your mat, down dog. All right. Come to stand. I don't care how you get there. Utthita Hasta Padangusthasana 2. So if you use a belt for this balance. Not a lot of belt, little belt loop, because it gets too unwieldy. So you can for sure work at the knee. Step 1, find your base. Feet rooted, 3 corners of the feet, no fishtailing with the ankles. Exhale, root down more, left leg. Adjust your pants. Oh, that's me. Inhale, the right leg comes up. So you could simply work at the knee, hugging the knee, and taking the leg out to the side. Right? If you're working a straight leg, your tiny loop around the foot, or I like to catch the foot from the outside. I don't like to hold the big toe, and I have my reasons for that. It's fine, do it if you love it. Drop that right sit bone. Right? Straight leg peeps, take the leg forward first, let the right sit bone follow the heel, and as you take the leg out to the right, that right sit bone sweeps forward and to the right. So now we've got the inquiry around how much leg in the socket, how much SI movement on both sides. And you, in theory, can control that. You can choose how far to take the leg, what SI joint involvement you want to bring along. So maybe your leg doesn't go way out like it usually does if you have SI drama. I know at least one of the people that I saw sign in does. Tree pose. Without tipping over, if you can. Hug foot into leg, squeeze leg into foot, and feel if that skyrockets you up into the heavens a little bit further. Reach a little bit further. And then I vote to dismantle this, either mountain, I'm choosing chair, legs right together. Utkatasana. And to stand. Right leg roots. It's clearly impossible for me just to do an hour. Squeeze your left leg in. That's not true. It's just not my preference. Working left hand holding knee or left hand holding foot. Left sit bone heavy, heavy. Left side waist long. Left lumbar long. When you take the leg or the knee to the left, scoop your left sit bone forward and to the left. How much you go into your right SI joint, in theory, is up to you. Tree pose. Foot pushes thigh, thigh pushes back into foot. It's hard to do and yammer away. I'm going to shut up. And mountain pose or chair pose. So I think 2 more little ditties, 2 or 3 more little ditties before whatever's next. Grab your block. So this is a tricky thing. Can be very helpful for SI joint drama or very not helpful. One side will prove to be helpful and one side will prove to be poison, probably, if you already have SI drama. So basically what it is, it's an asymmetrical uttanasana where we're going to put one foot on the block. So you might want your other block nearby on its tall side, and maybe just watch me do it. I'm going to set the hand supporting block out of the way so you can see. But the deal is one foot on the block, both legs straight. Both legs straight. So they can't be right together unless you already have one leg dramatically shorter than the other. Have them as close together as they can be with both legs straight. So you can see here my pelvis is quite offset. And probably if you have SI pain, the painful side leg will feel good on the block. All right, so maybe start, you pick which leg you want to start with. My left leg loves this. My right leg's like, oh, this is so boring. My left leg is like, oh my God, yes. So I'm gonna just do one long set on my left side. So climb in, be curious, be gentle, be caring. Both legs straight and as close as they can be together. Use the other block for your hands, like be smart. Use it if you need it. Support your hands on something. And the hiked up side, for me it's my left side. Can you take that left low belly, deep ovary, vas deferens up towards ceiling, lift up inner thigh, lift up inner knee, lift up inner ankle, lift up inner arch, outer feet heavy, big toe ball mound heavy, heels heavy but lean forward. In between sides, put that same block between your two knees. Mountain pose, squeeze it. No fishtailing. You could do tiptoe pose with the block, or you could do chair pose or chair tiptoe pose before you do your second side. So if you're ready for side 2, go there now. And side 2 is probably either ho-hum or no thank you, or oh wow, this side needs it too. I'm not going to spend time on my right leg because it neuters the benefits I found in my left leg. So take the time you need. We're going to do a neutralizing something in the middle, whether it's squeeze the block between your knees or rock your two dogs. And let's land on the floor on the left side. I'm going to put my left hand under my head. Outer armpit presses into the floor. So that's basically a shoulder blade protraction move where you wrap the left shoulder blade to the left, press it into the floor. And start with your hips straight, hips in neutral, but bend your knees so the soles of your feet are shining behind you. And turn the right leg out and bring the right foot into tree pose. We were just there. So the left foot behind you acts as a kickstand, okay? And then lengthening right lumbar, scooping right sit bone forward a little bit. Bring the right knee towards your right shoulder. With your thigh strength, can you straighten your right leg? Dorsiflex your foot. And you can put the arm, back of the arm against the inner leg and press the leg against the arm, sort of like we did however long ago on our backs. And use this pressure to scoop your right sit bone forward. And the right sit bone is also reaching towards your right foot. You can keep the arm pressing back, leg pressing forward, or soften that. If the leg can stay straight up on its own, maybe you catch the foot. Maybe you straighten your left leg. It's a much harder request. So the right hip has to keep plugging forward, squeezing in by the strength of the glute muscles alone. Anandasana, they call it. Infinity pose. Undo. Maybe a locust pose or a child's pose to cleanse the palate, or a chaturanga in a plank In your dogs, I'm going to flip around so y'all have a better visual. Meeting on your right side, head in your right hand, outer armpit merging with the floor. 2 knees bend, feet straight back, hips open and long in front. And then left foot tree pose. You could work here. You could even do the hand against the leg thing here. Sorry, I didn't offer it first side. Hand presses back against leg and leg sort of squeezes against the hand. All in the interest of inviting your left sit bone forward, lengthening the lumbar. Let the left knee fall towards the shoulder, left sit bone scooping forward, and it scoops up as you straighten the leg. Check back in with your right armpit. And then leg and hand press against each other. Arm presses back. And if you're pressing high up above the knee anywhere, as you try to squeeze the leg into the hand, ideally this lower leg, which is higher, it's stabilized. And what's going to move is lower in the hip. Left sit bone scoops under. Maybe, just maybe, foot's in reach. Doesn't matter. And maybe the right leg goes straight. It's not hugely important. Either way. Anantasana means infinity. There's a whole story from the Hindu lore around that pose, that idea, that concept of infinity. So take a shape that supports you, that cleanses your palate, and we're going to set up for a supported back bend. Maybe turn it into an inversion. So now's where I'd like you to grab your 2 blocks, place them end to end, short end to short end on your mat. Take a folded blanket, fold it in a long rectangle. Skinny long rectangle, so you can plop it right on the blocks. Perfect shape, perfect size. Then grab your bolster or your other bunch of blankets. And we're doing what's called cross bolster technique. So make a crisscross. So the block and blankets was perpendicular to the mat. Now the bolster is parallel lengthwise with your mat. And I'm going to use a belt around my feet. So simply hip width. So sit right in the middle, right at the intersection of the 2 supports. And placing the belt around the outer feet, just the outer arch there, hip width. And so we want our butts to be more on one side of the bottom support. And then maybe kidneys, lower ribs on the support. And I like to set it up so my head is caught, my neck is supported, neck curve is supported by the bolster. And then I've got some teeter-totter capacity here. I could push the bolster with me if I want more weight towards my head, or I could just slide the legs. I'm actually going to climb a little bit higher up on the bolster, get some more length in my back. So the very top of the back of my head is on the floor. So I'm purposefully not creating the Jalandhara Bandha. It's like a upside down locust pose. So it's a full spinal extension, but not very big. Arms can be out to the side, or you can catch opposite elbows, take them overhead. So it's a simple belly opener, simple chest spreader, simple front thigh lengthener. Find a comfortable place. Find a way that you can be comfortable in this little gesture of a back bend. If you're really comfortable, stay, stay, stay. If you're mildly uncomfortable, not because of an injury or any vulnerable place, but just like not your favorite, see, there's a whole lot going on right now that's not my favorite, not in this pose, but big picture, Maha Asana. And I'm showing up anyways. I'm enduring, I'm abiding. So you decide if this is a safe place to endure, even though it's mildly uncomfortable. Now, if it's an injury or some anatomical danger, then please rearrange. Climb on out altogether if you need to. And then what I would like to do here, if your prop setup allows you to, bring your arms down by your side. Bend your knees, slip your feet out of the belt. Sliding towards your head just enough, and you might, I don't know if you need to watch me or not, but can you slide just enough so that the shoulders actually land on the floor? Upper part of the shoulder blade. So now we've got Jalandhara Bandha. The back of the head's clearly on the floor. The chin is drawn into the chest. So it's a soft, supported bridge. I'm taking my feet wide. I'm inviting my knees to knock together, arms down by my side, as much as they can be, down towards the side. Folding the front of the throat lovingly and getting a little bit of breathing room in the back of the neck. Can you sense the upper back ribs? I mean, the upper front ribs are like right in your face, right? But can you sense the upper back ribs? Like ribs 2, 3, 4, 5. They're sort of lifted up. They're updrafting towards the back of your heart. Can you breathe space in there? Another way to think about it would be to breathe space forward and backwards. Like, can you create a little more depth, front to back, back to front, in the upper ribs? If you really go for that, it creates a natural bondification of the belly and pelvic floor. At least for me it does. If your hips, they should be pretty much right on top of both supports. If it's an easy go, both legs up, one at a time. So a soft supported Viparita Karani from the cross bolster position. Stay as long as you like. The exit strategy when you're ready is to let both knees fall to the chest and then step your feet on the support and swiggle further headward till most of your spine is on the floor, and then roll to your right. You can pause there on your right side or spill onto your belly or roll onto your back. Find a resting position. Find a resting position. You could place the knees over the bolster. You could simply stay curled up on your side. You could spill onto your belly. Landing somewhere that feels like a natural landing place. Comfort, ease, refuge. And big picture, like yoga has all these things to say about how you land and rest. Fine, true, and also true is landing wherever you land is refuge, right? Refuge is here always. And so if curling up on your side feels better, or staying on your belly, just allow some comfort. Even if, and especially if, because ultimately it is the big if, that comfort is only inside. It's a choice we can make. As a practitioner, it's the choice that we need to always make. And so thank you for joining. Be well. I love you. Namaste.